Hi everybody, my name's Niels Buus and I'm the St. Vincent's Chair of Mental Health Nursing and the Director of the Centre for Family-Based Mental Health Care. This is the second video presentation out of 5 about open dialogue related to the St. Vincent's Open Dialogue Initiative. This presentation is accompanied by the text called Open Dialogues as Crisis Intervention from the book called Dialogical Meetings in Social Networks, written by Jaakko Saikola and Tom Erik Arnkill. Open dialogue meetings are a defining characteristic of open dialogue because they are the events at which the social network gather and where it's gently assisted towards dialogue. Through dialogue, the participants' shared meaning-making creates new meaning, new understanding, and more acceptance, which adds to generating psychosocial resources in the network. All treatment is, as I pointed out in the first presentation, organized around the network meetings. And to the largest extent possible, all decisions affecting the client will take place with the client present in the room. This is done in order to ensure the highest level of transparency for the client and for the client's family and network. The process of identifying people to participate should be organized in a way that gives the person genuine opportunity to participate in the process. Some sites that use open dialogue start out their treatment planning by mapping the client's private and professional network and use the map and the discussions from the mapping process to identify which participants should be invited. Such additional approaches would depend highly on the particular healthcare services. There can be numerous types of participants that are significant for the client. It may involve partners, family, roomies, friends, educational, social, and healthcare professionals, colleagues, etc., etc. It's likely that clinicians will suggest participation by people that the client would not have come up with on his or her own, and this can be a recurring point of conflict which must be negotiated. It might be that the clinicians suggest having a representative from drug and alcohol present, to which the person might not initially agree to. It might be that participants are selected by the people who initiated the help-seeking process. The client and the private and professional network should be heavily involved in planning the network meeting, which would be about what time it should be held, where it should be held, and who should be there. There may be very different constellations of participants over time. The key principle that one of the clinicians should be the same throughout the treatment process. Some clients are in need of just a few meetings, others may need numerous meetings, which would, once more, depend on the particular healthcare services. Invitations, including introductions to the purpose of the meeting, can be provided face-to-face and or in a written letter. The important thing is to signal that it's part of the usual treatment regime, and for particular users of the healthcare system, they have an expectations of coming to the hospital, getting told what needs to be done in order to be fixed, and then to be discharged healthy again. These people can be surprised and confused over the open-ended nature of open dialogue treatment. As stated in the first presentation, clinicians aim at creating dialogue, and through dialogue, positive behavioral change may happen. The opposite to dialogue is monologue. It happens when people are spoken at and not spoken with. It's a sort of micro-violence taking place in everyday life, right under our noses. For instance, when we rephrase other people's utterances or tell them what they should do in order to change to something better. Therefore, the network meetings have an open agenda. The first meeting might be initiated with the question, how come we have this meeting today? And the facilitator's job is to increase the level of trust in the room by managing the participants, by managing potential conflict in the group, so that people get around to actually listening to one another. If possible, all participants would sit in a circle so that everyone has got equal chances to hear and see other participants. And the clinician's task here is to genuinely listen to the participants' utterances in the present moment and help them to emphasize this voice in the room. That means that the therapists will focus on what's actually being said by the other participants rather than bringing in new material into the conversation. Not all parts of a network meeting is dialogical. Some parts may be concerned with providing information or business linked to the clinician's formal responsibilities. These issues are typically pushed towards the end of the meeting so that there's protected time for pursuing and having dialogue at the beginning. During the network meeting, the clinicians will at some point ask for permission to reflect on what they've heard, and the client and the network will witness this reflection. The clinician's reflection serves as an opportunity for the client and the network to reflect on their own voice, to reflect on their own position. It's a reflection on what the clinicians have heard, what struck them, and what ideas and feelings that were stimulated in them in response to the conversation. Again, it's focused on the present situations, the things that were explicitly addressed during the conversation. It should be articulated in the client's and the network's own language, own voice. And the key issue here is to recognize and emphasize basic and universal human experiences of the client and the family. It's about telling them or teaching them that the problems and issues that they struggle with are not unique, but that they can be related to by others. Through this process, the clients and network can learn that they're not alone in the world. Through being recognized by others, they learn to recognize themselves. I met with some Danish open dialogue therapists who told me that it was terribly difficult for them to reflect with the family being present. And in order to learn this reflective practice, they had to negotiate that they left the room, went for a walk, and reflected away from the family before they got the confidence to actually reflect in front of the family. It may be that we, in the Australian context, may have to use some of the same strategies. Towards the end of the meeting, the clinicians will ask the participants if they've got anything they wish to add before the ending, and the next meeting will be planned. In the treatment, most of the principles of open dialogue are prominent. There's an obvious engagement of social networks, where the continual participation ensures psychological continuity. There's flexibility and mobility in the planning of the meetings, where clients are engaged. The clinician's responsibility and their individual tasks become clearer during the meetings, and dialogism can support the tolerance of uncertainty, in particular the clinicians. The network meeting can create more transparent treatment processes and empower people to take more control over their situation rather than simply conforming to healthcare professional solutions that might not be useful in a longer perspective. It's possible that some of the power of open dialogue is not related to what's done, but rather to what's not done. Distressed people in contact with the mental health care services for the first time might have better experiences with open dialogue than with conventional treatment regimes, and therefore they'll make better use of the healthcare systems in the future. Thank you for your attention. Any questions regarding the implementation study or inquiries about collaboration can be directed to me at this email address.